Hello, inventors and entrepreneurs. My name is Courtney Laschkewitsch. I am the managing director here at Inventors Groups of America, and welcome to Inventors Online. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now, is anyone new to Inventors Online? If so, go ahead and flash your hand in front of the screen. Welcome. Wonderful. Well, welcome to all of the newbies here at Inventors Online. And with that said, as everyone's coming in, I'd love to do a poll right off the bat. So as I go ahead and do some introductions, I've got a short 2-question poll for you guys to do. Let me go ahead and pull that up, and then you guys can go ahead and answer those questions as we give our introductions.
Ooh, a poll. This is fun.
All right, go ahead, and if everyone who's willing to answer that, that would be wonderful. All right, so as that poll is going on, of course, IGA was founded in 2017 by Stephen Key and Andrew Krauss, and IGA's goal is to teach individuals how to best commercialize their product ideas, as well as strengthen and support inventor groups throughout the nation. Now we have a directory of local and regional inventors groups, and they're on our website, and we meet with them every single month. And if you're located near one, we would highly encourage you to join. Of course, per usual, we would love to hear your name and what state or country you're from. So as soon as you're done with that poll, go on over to the chat box and go ahead and let us know. Of course, please do not disclose anything that is confidential and not already publicly available. And our meeting is being recorded and will be harnessed on our website and YouTube channel soon after. Of course, feel free to change your name in the participants panel. You can choose to be in gallery mode at any time so you can see everyone. And though it's not required, we would love for you to turn on your video. We'd love to see our community. All right, and so because this is a presentation with 2 guest speakers, in relation to questions, please go ahead and put in your questions as soon as you can into that chat box when you've got them. We'll go ahead and answer them every so often while we're doing the presentation and then after as well. Now, for tonight, the first step in building a relationship with a potential licensee today begins most often with a short message. But how much information should you include about your product idea? Should you ask to set up a call right away? What do you do when the conversation goes silent? And that's a hard one. All of us as inventors have dealt with that. What do you do when that happens? You just say, I'll just move on to the next company. Do you push? How much do you push? We'll talk about that tonight. And then, of course, same thing with LinkedIn. If we're talking about email, what if they don't respond? What about LinkedIn message? What if they never accept your connection? Or what if you send a message and they never respond? What do you do then? And then, of course, because of all of this, how do you even stay motivated if you're not getting responses at all? Of course, pitching is definitely an art and a science. And so tonight we're going to learn what to expect and how the pros overcome obstacles when reaching out to potential licensees. Of course, we're thrilled to have on 2 guest speakers tonight. And first up, we have Smart Pitch creator and LinkedIn for licensing author. Give it up for Benjamin Harrison.
Hey. Good to see you, everybody. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Thanks for joining on the day before Thanksgiving. The fact that you're here says a lot. I really appreciate you showing up. And I apologize for our foster dog Bandit in the background. We're doing our best with him. We're trying to help him out as good as we can, but man, he's a noisy guy. So I apologize for him in advance. Thanks for having me. Thrilled to be here and get to help everybody out with this in this exciting time.
Thank you, Ben. We are so stoked for tonight. And with that said, you are not the only guest speaker. We are also lucky to have the one and only inventor of the Woof Washer 360 and longtime InventRight coach, Ryan Diaz.
Hi, well, thank you, Courtney, for inviting me on. You know, I haven't been able to do many of these recently, so this is going to be very fun for me. And so I might be a little rusty at doing these, but great thing is this info never changes, right? For the most part, it's always the same, and Ben and I will touch on that. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ryan. And of course, thank you to everyone who participated in our poll this week on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, we asked, what is your favorite way to approach potential licensees? Now, coming in at 49% was LinkedIn. All right, so the poll was on LinkedIn. Maybe there's a little bias there, maybe not. All right, 22% said making a cold call. 16% said email. And 14% said trade shows. Very interesting. So with that said, thank you very much for everyone who responded via the poll. And Ben, why don't you go ahead and just start us off?
Sorry, guys. I got all kinds of ruckus going on in the background. I am doing my best here. Can you sit down for me, big guys? So today we're going to talk about being professional. Step number one, get a bunch of dogs, have them getting in dog fights on screen in front of people. That's the first thing that you want to do. No. So whenever it comes to approaching companies professionally, Ryan, I think you'll agree on me with this. It doesn't take having an illustrious background or career in product development. It doesn't take being the CEO of a major company. It doesn't take a lot of work, but it does take some prep work. It takes having a good LinkedIn profile, having something that people are going to feel comfortable with you whenever they see. And it also, as far as reaching out to people and being professional in that, it's also going to take some prep work in, you're gonna need to have really good marketing material. That's the other aspect, or another aspect of coming across like a pro that is absolutely critical. And you're gonna need to approach people in the right way. And so in all of that, it's gonna take a little bit of prep work, but whenever you get those things already taken care of, it is just clockwork. It is so easy, like Ryan's saying before. It's not like it changes every week and you've got to redo your profile, or you have to redo your outreach method. Once you get this down, guys, it's so easy. And you just need to learn a couple of basic aspects of reaching out like a pro. Ryan, I don't want to get to talking about myself for too long without you being able to say anything. And guys, everybody, I'm so excited to get to do this with Ryan. This is Ryan is a pioneer in reaching out on social media. He's somebody that was an inspiration to me and a lot of other people at Inventors whenever it comes to this. So please, Ryan, feel free to hop in, tell me what I'm doing wrong, or let everybody know your input as well.
Sure. Well, yeah, thank you for that. So one thing I'll mention is and Andrew can testify to this, when we first started Inventors, it was always cold call. And we're going back probably 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. And my situation was, based on what I do for a full-time job, is I simply couldn't make calls. It's just impossible because I'm in law enforcement. You just couldn't, right? It was absolutely impossible that I could be making cold calls when I have to be doing my job. And I think a lot of people fall into that category. So though I was being told you need to make the calls, I said, well, there's got to be a different way to do this. Now, I appreciate you saying I was a pioneer. Frankly, I didn't pioneer anything. I just decided, hey, I need to find another way in. So I did this whole LinkedIn thing, which was relatively new to me. And the results were undeniable, quite frankly. And someone said in the chat just moments ago, hey, are you sitting in a Walmart? No, I'm not. This is a background that I'm very proud of. This is when, my product was being stocked in Walmart. And why I like to put that on there is because if it wasn't for LinkedIn, this would have never have occurred for me. I can guarantee that 100%. Not only would I have not have licensed my product, I would have never been in Walmart, and I certainly wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. So Inventors, as the years have gone on and social media has been embraced and become part of it, all of our lives, we've really taken a liking to LinkedIn. Now, it's certainly not the only way, of course. And there's many ways to use LinkedIn to do this. It doesn't mean just using LinkedIn to reach out. We also use LinkedIn to identify who the players are at the company. And then you can email those people, right, by figuring out what the company's email format is. And perhaps we can touch on that in a bit. Or simply you could use those names to contact people on the telephone. But for me, it was a real game changer and absolutely critical, or else really I wouldn't be here today. You're on mute.
Product as well, man. Your story and your product are fantastic. You can say you're not a pioneer, but man, we all know better than that. So I'm going to do a screen share real quick, if that's cool with you, Courtney. I don't mean to take over your show, but what I want to do, guys, is I want to show you really quick the elements of having a professional looking LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to use a friend of mine's profile, and I didn't ask her to do this, but she's just going to have to deal with it. Miss Michelle Morrison, we're going to go over here real quick. All right. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. What you need, professional looking headshot. You need a background. You need a headline that preferably has product developer somewhere in it, because whenever you're sending people messages, they're going to see your headline. And if your headline says product developer in it and you're reaching out about open innovation product development, then there's continuity there, there's consistency. And so it's going to make sense to them instantly whenever they see that. They're going to see product developer in a message, and they're going to see that you're asking them a question about product development, and it's going to make sense to them in their head. So that's a very critical thing to have as well. Hey, buddy, want to go for a ride later? Yeah. But so another thing that you're going to need is an about section. And feel free to take a pause this later, come back to this. I don't want to spend a ton of time because we have so much to cover, but I like for an about area to be like a mini narrative about you as a product developer, and to tell a story of what makes you, what got you to where you are in your product development career. What is unique about you? And whenever you spell that out for people, it makes you feel more like an actual person than just a name on a page somewhere, just a digital digital resume somewhere, and it helps people remember you better. Another thing that you're going to need is activity, right? People are going to come whenever you're reaching out to them, they're going to come back and they're going to look at your profile, and if they see no activity at all, that's not going to be a good thing. What you want them to see is some positive activity, you being a positive participant within an industry. So make sure it's not just enough to be on LinkedIn. You want to make sure that you have some activity. Don't go hog wild. You don't have to turn into somebody that wastes time, an hour a day commenting on stuff. But you want to show people that you're a positive professional. That's
Ben, could that literally be just saying, I really like this post you wrote, or this is fantastic? And so when they go to your profile and they see the activity, they're just seeing a lot of positivity. I mean, that seems really easy, as opposed to having to come up with content. And you're always saying that's not necessary.
Precisely, guys. You don't have to be a content creator in order to use this platform as a tool. As a matter of fact, you're going to spend a lot of time, you're going to waste a lot of time if that's the way that you think that you have to go about it. Ryan has created some content. Ryan writes amazing articles, but I don't know that Ryan was doing that back whenever he was reaching out on LinkedIn. It's not a requirement. Matter of fact, it's not the best use of your time. As far as your experience goes, just put in what you've done for your job, skill points, whatever. If you can get them, great. Recommendations, fantastic. But it's just important that you complete these things. Just complete your experience area, have some activity, preferably that of being positive within an industry that you're pitching in, especially have an about section and have a headline that has product developer in it.
Now, Ben, before we get into the pitching aspect, we have a lot of questions talking about how to balance your LinkedIn profile for work versus your inventor roles. What if your company requires your LinkedIn profile is for your company, and on and on. Again and again, they're asking that. So what advice do you have if you have a job that's demanding of your LinkedIn being only in relation to that job?
I'd say that's pretty demanding. Your employer does not own your LinkedIn profile. Now, as far as whatever arrangements you have with them, I don't want to talk bad about anybody's job, but that is a pretty extreme scenario, in my opinion. I get this question a lot because people are curious how they're gonna balance having a product development presence on LinkedIn and their current job. And they don't want to be out there like schlocking their product in front of everybody if their current employer is going to see that, their current co-workers, stuff like that. And my answer is simply, you're not going to be doing anything in public. It's public disclosure to post your product anywhere online. And so you're not going to be posting your product on your profile, or you're not going to be creating content about your product. So it's all, you can use LinkedIn as a tool as a product developer for direct outreach in order to get in touch with people and be able to get them your marketing material. It's not necessarily something that you're going to be posting something and they're coming to you. So don't think of it as this outward public display of you as a product developer. You can be a real estate agent / product developer. And if your Remax managing broker kicks you out of Remax for putting that in there, I'd be very, very surprised. But it's that simple. So many people nowadays do multiple things. Very few people stay with one company their entire career. So they're a engineer / product developer / dog groomer / historian, and everybody else gets away with it. So you should be able to as well. So I would just put a / Benjamin Harrison, long rant talker / product developer. That's how I would handle that.
Ben, if somebody did have a very extreme employer, would an option be to use their wife or their husband's name and just put it up there and reach out that way?
Sure, but I will go back to, and I would love to hear Ryan's input on this, because Ryan has a job where I don't, he has to deal with this a little more than I do. But I would give a quick example that I haven't given in a while, Andrew, but I know you love this one, of a student that we had who was a special ops narco terrorist government contractor / product developer. And he got away with that. It wasn't, he did a beautiful job with it. He in this area, in this about area here, guys, he wove that into his narrative. And he talked about how his experience in the field helps him with problem solving and how that's a part of him as a product developer. So that's what I would do, guys. And if it's okay for a narco terrorist government employee or government contractor who's deployed in South Africa and all these different places, then it seems like it would have to be a very extreme job scenario for that to actually be the case. Ryan, I know you've got something to say about this, buddy. Don't let me talk over you.
So I'll say that, it could be a very positive thing. If you're a dentist and you just came up with the best new dental tool to cap someone's tooth or whatnot, you just earned yourself major street cred. So don't be afraid for that. If you're a plumber and you just came up with the best way to stop all leaks, you want that highlighted on your LinkedIn. So I'm not in the position where my company or whom I work for ever said, let me see your LinkedIn. And I've been with them for 16 years. I've never once put on my LinkedIn what I do for my 9 to 5. So for a company, I understand that is realistic, that some people are being asked by companies. I've never seen that with my students. So I can't comment on what direction. I honestly, I would hate to give someone the advice that's going to get them in trouble at work. But I frankly wouldn't even bother putting what my 9 to 5 job is unless it has something to do with the product you're pitching. And quite often people do pitch in the category that they work in. So it really could be beneficial, and I'd highly encourage it.
Ryan, I completely agree. Aside from it being something that would get you in trouble, like if you already have an arrangement with your employer, or there's some extreme situation, there are a lot of people that see it as a negative thing. They think I have to be Albert Einstein or Tesla or someone in order for anybody to take me seriously as a product developer, but it's simply not the case. It's more about the merits of your product, right?
You're right. And what's key though, what you started with, is having this professional profile. So I've known Michelle for many years, from when we used to talk way before either of us were involved with Inventors. And I've seen her, she's a regular person like all of us on here, but you look at that profile and she's very accomplished. So I don't mean this in a negative way. She's a regular person, but if you look at that profile, she really looks like a somebody. So take a cue from that. And when Benjamin says, hey, take a look at this, really try to emulate it. It's amazing what a professional headshot will do for you. I think mine is just a crop picture of an old wedding photo. It works. At some point I may get a real photo done, but just craft that image that you want others to see, because at the end of the day, we are talking to high level people, and you're just going to be amazed at how you can get into them. And we'll get into this soon, but we're talking about the biggest companies you've heard of. I guarantee we can talk to people at those companies. So you do have to, even if you want to call it putting on a front or a facade, you do have to create that.
Hey, why don't we talk about that right now, Ryan? That sounds exciting to me. I'm fine to talk about that. That's something that I tell people to do, is something that I had to adopt early, because my original headshot and the way that I had everything done originally, it wasn't really working for me, because the industry that I was in and the companies that I was trying to get into were massive companies. It was the biggest record labels and entertainment companies in the world. And so what I had to do at some point was look at the profiles of the people that I was reaching out to, the people that I wanted to be contacting, and get a feel for how their profile looked and what the level of professionalism that they were bringing. I had to try to emulate that, because that's really the test of their comfort level with you, is how they immediately perceive you. And so if you can try to meet them at that level that they're bringing, I found that I had much more success by doing that, rather than just going in with what I originally had. I was in a tough industry, so I had to raise my level of professionalism that I was bringing to the table in order to make those people feel comfortable.
Sure. So the image that you give off to an executive at a bank is going to have one type of profile picture versus maybe an executive at a toy company, or a CEO at a toy company, where it's all about family and fun. Now theirs, isn't probably going to be real stiff with a tie, and they're going to have some fun and creativity to their profile picture. And I think that's okay to an extent, that you can make your profile picture look a little interesting. I don't think you want to go off the walls. I think if you look at Andrews and Stevens, very professional, right? Inventors, an incredibly professional company. But if you go to, again, a toy company, I've got a buddy who is the equivalent of an Imagineer, but for Universal Studios. And his is a very, fun, I think it's in black and white, and he's making a silly face of some sort. So if you're going to be in any industry for a length of time, I think you could absolutely craft it towards that industry, kind of like we would do for a sell sheet. I might have a sell sheet that looks one way for company X or category X, and another sell sheet, same product, but another sell sheet for category Y. So that's interesting that you bring that up. I've never really talked about that, but it makes a lot of sense.
A lot of this to me is social triggers and social proof. That's why it's such a powerful thing to be able to have similar connections with someone else. It may not seem like it makes a difference because none of us really know all of these people anyway, but the numbers state otherwise. And that's a really powerful thing about LinkedIn, guys, is you get to, like Ryan saying, craft how it is that people perceive you. You get to nothing is out there unless you put it out there. You're in control of your perceived professional image. And it's a really powerful thing. And the more things that you can do to make that easier on everyone, the better. You want them to be comfortable with you, and you want them to be comfortable sending you over to someone else in their company as well. Because if they're not, you're not going to get as many people to respond to you. And that's what you want. You want these instant split-second decisions, people going over, seeing your profile. This checks out. It looks right. It looks professional. They're not going to dig into everything. They're not going to spend 40 minutes looking at it, but you just want to hit those points. Courtney?
No. Yeah. So what happens then if you set all this up and we get into pitching and we try cold calling, we're working on email, we're going through all the different methods of pitching. And Ryan, I'd love to hear your thoughts first, and then we'll go to you, Ben, in relation to email. What happens if, you send out your message, you're very excited to go ahead and say you've got a product idea and you're asking if they are looking for outside ideas, and then they don't respond? What happens when potential licensees don't respond to you? What do you do?
Okay, well, here's the key. And here's how you almost guarantee that you get a response. You have to reach out to numerous people at each company. And I can't stress that enough. And when I say numerous, I might mean 6, 7, 8, or 9, because it's highly likely that most of those people are going to ignore you. Statistics say they're going to ignore you. But if I reach out to 8 people at company A, and I just need one person to say, sure, Ryan, send me your sell sheet, and then you're in, okay? So if I've emailed 10 people at this company, and I also send those same 10 people a LinkedIn message, and all 10 ignore me, then the writing's on the wall. I'm probably gonna move on to the next. But the number one mistake that our students or inventors make is they reach out to one person. This is the dream guy. I've looked at his profile. This is the guy. Well, maybe that guy's busy working on whatever it is that's currently a pain in his ass that his boss is writing him for. Maybe he's working on something that's costing him money. Yeah, who knows? Bottom line is we are, I hate to say it, we're a nuisance to people, right? We are trying to grab their attention, and that's very difficult. So you have to find someone who's having a good day. And we've all been there in our whatever job our listeners do. If someone were to send you an email on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock, the day before Thanksgiving, would you respond? Maybe, maybe not. There's 130 some odd people in this chat. I bet you some of you would, right? So it's a numbers game. You have to send it. I cannot stress that enough. If you take anything away from this, numerous people at each company. Now we can talk about what to do if more than one of those people get back to you. Now that's an interesting situation. So if I send the message out to Joe, say, hey, Joe, my name's Ryan. I'm a product developer. I've got a new and innovative way to wash a dog. I have a sell sheet, which will quickly highlight the benefits of my product to you and your company. Can I send you more info? So I'm sending that 7, 8, 9 times. Joe gets back to me on a Monday, says, sure, Ryan, send me your sell sheet. And I do. Wednesday, his partner, John, says, Ryan, send me your sell sheet. What I do is say, hey, John, for full clarity, Joe already gave me permission to send this to him, but 2 eyes are better than 1. Please see attached. What we're doing is we're not working one versus the other. You're being very clear that you've already showed it to somebody in his company. Now, the first guy may think the product stinks, but John may think it's a home run. So that's how you get it into multiple people without causing any internal disruption, because we have seen that as well. Because these people can be sensitive. You don't want the one guy to say, I already turned this guy Ryan down. Why is he bugging you now? But you've already alleviated that. So to answer your question, you just got to show it to many, many people, and it's not an issue. We're going to talk about scripts. I think I just blattered one out that I've said thousands of times. But once you get good at that, it's a copy and paste game, and you just do it until someone responds to you.
Well said.
Uh,
Excellent, Ryan. Ben, go for it.
yeah, Ryan, very, very well said, my friend. And you're right. It's a numbers thing. And what I tell people is that you don't get to choose who is willing to help you. And people will they'll get enamored for whatever reason with a certain connection. And it's, oh, this guy didn't accept my connection request, or oh, they never responded to me. Oh man, what am I? It's like, what am I supposed to do? And should I message him 6 more times? Should I show up to his house? What am I supposed to do? It's like, guys, you just go on to the next person. You don't get to choose who's going to help you out. And I don't want to try to force anyone into helping me out, because chances are it's not a good way to start a relationship out, is by me twisting your arm into responding to me. So I'm with Ryan. I like, if I was sending out LinkedIn messages Monday, and I'm reaching out to 3 different companies, and I sent 4 employees messages at each of those 3 companies. And sometimes I'll do more than that. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 6. But I'm with Ryan. I send out 4 or 5, and, somebody's going to respond to me. And out of those, people have been very responsive lately, and just very happy to help if you ask them the right way. And that's something that we can talk about really quick, Courtney, is we can get into some scripts. I see some people asking questions about that as well. Is that something that's suitable for us to get into at this point?
Yeah, go for it. While you bring this up, I just want to make it clear to the audience that, of course, we talk about licensing being a numbers game, but we're not just talking about companies. We're talking about, obviously, the employees that we're reaching out to. And so I'm glad you guys both brought that up, because that is a very powerful statement of, like you said, Ryan, like, are we going to alienate a company if we ask, a bunch of different people? How do we deal with that? And so remember, it is a numbers game for the amount of companies on your hit list, but it's also a numbers game, exactly like you said, Ben, of who's going to help you. You have no idea. You want it to be sales, you want it to be marketing, but it may be some customer service agent that sees your message on LinkedIn and is just excited to help direct you to the right department. You have no idea. You hope for the best, and then you cast a wide net, and then hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 people will start to help you out, and you'll get to that right person.
And this doesn't have to be scary, guys. It's not. Once you start getting into it, it's not that big of a deal. I've had so many people respond to me over the last couple of days, even it being a holiday week. I've had people apologize for not getting back to me sooner. That took, I sent them a message at like 5 Pacific time, and they messaged me back at 6 in the morning the next day. They're like, sorry for not getting back. It's like, are you serious? You got back to me. You're amazing. So people will get back to you, and it is a numbers thing. But it's so even in that, Courtney, you're right. I've had multiple people from the same company get back to me, but it can be really good, because I got 1 email address from one person, and then I had another guy send me 2 email addresses. It's like, these are the heads of this department. That's who you're going to want to get to. And the 2 email addresses, one of them was the same one that the guy had sent me before. So I know that's the person that I really need to get to. And so I'll send both of them an email on Monday, or Tuesday, maybe, whenever we all get back. And I'll be able to reference the people that told me that they were the go-to people for that in the subject line of that email, put both of those guys in it, and then see if I get a response. I'm willing to bet, if I have 2 different people within that company on that email chain, as well as other people referenced that have already vetted me and sent me to them, what are the chances that they're not going to answer my email at that point? So yeah, don't be afraid to get out there, and like Ryan saying, put it out. Don't think, oh, I sent one person a message, they didn't respond, I'm done, because it's you're not going to get very far like that. So really quick, you want me to switch over to some scripts for people? All right. So, Ryan, see what you think of this script, man. You shoot some holes in it. This is what I've been sending this out Friday and Monday so far, guys. It's working just fine. I cut right to the chase. You don't want to send one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to send over your link. You don't want to send over your marketing material in your initial message that you send to people. You want to ask them permission. You want to ask them who it is that their company accepts open innovation submissions. And out and get in and get out. One ask, I want to be the easiest message that anybody responds to. They just give me back an email address, send it back over to me, in and out, works great. What do you think, Ryan? You hate it?
No, that looks great. And I just want to reiterate what you just said, because people seem to confuse us. The first message is a request. It's permission. May I send you something? Okay. So please don't attach a sell sheet on LinkedIn or start telling them about the product. You are simply asking for permission to come into their world. Okay. And that looks great. There's so many different scripts we can use, guys, and neither Ben's nor mine are the quote the way to do it. But this looks fantastic. So let's see another one.
So that's just a great initial message. Okay, Ryan, read us. You spit out your script a minute ago from memory, man. You still got it on top of your head, or if you forgot it in the last 10 minutes?
Sure. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to use I use the same script to this day, no matter what product I'm pitching. I say, hi, my name is Ryan Diaz. I'm a product developer. I've got a new and innovative way to wash a dog. I have a sell sheet which will quickly highlight the benefits of my product to you and your consumers. May I send you more info? Period.
Yeah, full stop. Right? It doesn't have to be difficult. You don't have to. I try to tell people to act like you're supposed to be there. Don't try to convince everyone how smart you are with all of the information that you try to pack into something. Don't try to sell anybody, because it's not going to work. People get those spam messages all the time, and this is how you differentiate yourself from that spam: is you don't include links, and you don't go on and on about your company or your past or your idea or anything like that. You keep it simple and short, and you message someone the same as you would message someone that you know, is the way that I like to go about it. So once someone has responded and they give me an email address for me to send it to, maybe it's that person. Maybe they're like, hey, send it over. Yeah, I'm that dude. I'm that lady. Send me over that message. I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe it's another person. And at that point, people diverge here. I still ask permission again. If I'm given the email address of someone and I'm messaging and I'm emailing them, but they've never heard anything from me, I've been referred to them, I still say, we'll use Ryan's name. I'll say, hey, Ryan, I was told you were the go-to guy for open innovation submissions for company XYZ. Is this a suitable email address for me to submit my marketing material to? Just to give them respect again. You don't necessarily have to do that. Some people just go ahead and send it. Ryan, do you have a preference on that?
Well, I'll get your opinion on this. So if you were told by somebody, hey, the correct contact is Joe. When you contact Joe, do you typically say, hey, Susie from such and such department recommended I reach out to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Absolutely. And the subject line, guys. That's where I like to put that. And I don't know what your experience is, Ryan, but the percentage of those emails that are opened and responded to, in my experience, are way higher than whenever you don't have I call it the ABV status. You've already been vetted. Somebody at that company has already gone through the procedure of vetting you. That filter's already spit you through it. So I love to do that. Great question. So whenever I'm submitting an idea, Ryan, you shoot holes in this for everybody's entertainment, but I will go ahead and I'll just say something very, very quick about the product. Very, very quick. I don't want to get into a whole lot of information at all, but I'll just say something quick, like what Ryan was saying. This is a best way to wash a dog. You just give them something at the top. I'll send my, in this case, I'm sending over a video link to a unlisted video on YouTube. And then I'll go ahead and say, I'll know every team has a different process. When do you think would be a good time for me to check back in with you? And if I have an opportunity, if I notice something that I can connect with someone on, something personal that I notice, I'll try to add that in there if I can. I don't always, but I copied and pasted this from a message email earlier this week that I sent. And I noticed that a guy just so happened to live in an area that I actually do have a lot of family. And so I added that in there too. Ryan, you got any qualms or thumbs up or anything with this at all to add?
Well, I gotta admit, I do mine a little simpler, actually. Now, that isn't to say mine's better, it's just different. When a company gives me permission to say, sure, shoot me over your sell sheet, what I prefer to do is simply reply, hey, John, thanks for getting back to me quickly. Please see attached sell sheet. I look forward to your response. And that's how I choose to leave it. Now, if you do have something where you lived in the area, or you have, maybe you went on their LinkedIn and you noticed that they're Patriots football fan, I don't know. If there's something that you two have in common, you went to the same college, I mean, by all means, use it. But for me, I get right into please see attached. I look forward to your review. Not wrong,
Right.
Just different.
And so I recently started adding in when would be a good time for me to check back in. So to let everybody know that I'm going to be checking back in. Courtney, do you have a preference? I'm going to catch you mid typing out a message to somebody with a question here, but do you have a preference on that as well? Do you ever, whenever you're submitting an idea to someone, they've already given you permission, you're sending it in. Do you have a when's a good time for me to check back in clause?
Yeah, like a follow-up email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll just if there's no response, and I'll say like, hi, Jason. Usually I'll put a date. I'll say like, thank you so much for letting me send you my sell sheet. I sent it over on October 21st. Looking forward to hearing your response. I alternate a lot. I've got a bunch of different follow-ups. That's one that I've been pushing pretty hard lately, where I'll throw out a date, and it's really great when it's been, I've been following up, once a week, and then bam, it's been, maybe a month. And when they see that date, I feel like at least I believe it feels like it puts it into perspective with them of like, oh shoot, it's been a month since they sent it over. I guess I should do something then. And so lately I've been doing that. However, I also alternate by saying like, hello, Jason, just following up, thanks, and just making it extremely short, and then seeing what kind of response I get after that. Sometimes just short makes them realize like, okay, I gotta just respond to this. It's a little bit curt, it's professional, and then it gets them to just say something like, oh, I'm busy right now, and I'll look at it next week, or just again something that can provoke some response is definitely obviously our goal as inventors.
And so Courtney's saying on post product submission that's how she'll choose to follow up afterwards. I'm sorry, Ryan, did I cut you off, brother?
No, I probably cut you off. Go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, man.
So it's funny. Courtney and I had we chatted maybe a month or so ago about a company we all know, Oriental Trading Company, and I think they're notoriously difficult to get into because they're a massive company. And I remember Courtney said, "Hey, if you find someone, let me know." So I went to work on LinkedIn, and I got in. It was no problem. And so I see we're kind of transitioning now into this post message. So this is after you got your sell sheet in, I think is where we're going with this. So I'm using, to this day, I'm a creature of habit. I use the same script that InventRight's been showing for years. And I'm going to give you just an example of what I did here. I'm reading verbatim my message on October 13. I said, good afternoon, Shannon. Thank you for agreeing to review my product. On October 4th, I realized you are likely very busy, so I've reattached the sell sheet to this message. If you think this product might be a right fit, please let me know and perhaps we can have a quick chat. Hope to hear from you. So you're throwing it out there, right? You're putting a line out there and hoping she takes the bait. Well, she responds the next day, hi, Ryan, thanks for the nudge. Let me chat with our team and get back to you next week. So I'm using the same old scripts that InventRight's been teaching for follow-ups for years, which are still on the website. And as you can see, she's really high up in the food chain, and she actually thanked me for reminding her. Her exact words were, thanks for the nudge. So that's my strategy.
That's something that I think is very valuable to kind of nestle into for a second, guys. People people hate to pester people. They hate sending follow-up messages. There's just, unless you're used to doing that, that can be even harder than reaching out initially is, because there's been this little bit of time in between, and it's weird to get back in there. So what Ryan is saying is not something that is isolated or an isolated incident to just that one lady. People do appreciate a polite nudge. People do not appreciate being nagged or being made to feel like you think that they owe you their time, because they don't. But people do appreciate other professionals following up in a professional way, because stuff happens. Things slip your mind. Other things come into your email box. I see a tower of friends here over on the side of my screen. I see Courtney and Andrew, and I see Ryan as well. And I know all of them I've forgotten to email back or text back immediately. And we all have to check back in. That's just the way that communication works. So don't think of it as I'm pestering people, I'm bugging people. It's your professional duty as a product developer to follow up. And the sooner that you see it as that, the better, because you're going to have to follow up. You're going to have to reach back out to people whenever they haven't responded to you. You're going to have to push the product forward, and this is how. And I love what you guys are saying about attaching a date to it. I think that that's fantastic. Don't say it's been forever since I sent it over. Just say the date. I sent this over on this date. It seems like you're saying it to make it easier on them versus reminding them how long it's been since they've responded to you. Andrew, do you have anything to say before I switch over to this?
I'm good.
Okay. So here's another script example. Let's say you've got initial interest from a company, but then they ghosted you afterwards. This is another script that you can use. Guys, whenever we're talking these, I'm saying 10 to 14 days is typically a good follow-up time frame. Ryan, do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You think any sooner is maybe being a little bit too pesty?
Well, you know, some people say 7 to 10 days, 10 to 14. A week is quick, but look, there's no hard fast rule here. I think 7 days is appropriate. I think 10 is appropriate. I certainly wouldn't go past 14 though, because now it's really starting to get out of their head and they're moving on to other things. So I would say between 7 and 14 days is the sweet spot.
Cool. And do you have a follow-up script that you remember that you'd like to beatbox ever? I can beatbox in the background while you do your script. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Well, I think the script that I just read is typically the one that I give, where I tell them which date I sent it. I reattach the sell sheet and I say, look forward to a chat. So I could pull that back up and read it if you'd like.
We're saying once you've already got some initial interest from them and then they've just fallen off after that. They say, hey,
Oh.
this is a great product. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for making my year, sending me over this wonderful idea. You know, you're my best friend. And then they go silent. Do you have
Which is
a
common,
way of
right?
helping people? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's very common. So the best thing you can do is acknowledge that you know they're extremely busy. Because if they're ghosting you, they're probably ghosting you because they're busy with their jobs, right? So I don't think you want to go in there. You absolutely cannot sound pushy. So if you go in there saying, hey, John, I realize you're extremely busy. However, last time we chatted, we said X, Y, and Z, and we would talk maybe the first week of December, hoping we could set up a brief period to talk. So I like to always acknowledge that I know they're busy. And then I also like to say, I'll keep it brief. I like to throw the word brief in there so that they know, hey, I just want a moment of their time, because that's really probably all they're going to be willing to give you. And you know, sometimes it works. Frankly, sometimes it doesn't. It's very frustrating when these companies do that. And that's why we don't want people to get stuck pitching one company. They feel like, hey, this is going to happen. And then you're 2 months in and the company starts ghosting you. This is why we continually say, pitch multiple companies until a company, you know, gives you a contract. Because that initial interest, which then turns into significant interest, it can be cut off in a moment's time. And that's more realistic than we'd like to believe.
That's another great point, Ryan. It's huge. And you guys want to talk about reaching out like a pro. You want to talk about getting your ideas out there like a pro. A pro does not stop the first time that they hear that somebody likes their idea. What that is it's a fantastic indication that there will be other people that probably feel the same way. But if you have one person bat their eye at you, and then that's who you're marrying and you're going to live happily ever after with them, and you're putting all your eggs in that basket, it's not a smart way of trying to move your project forward. So that's another key thing to getting your ideas to people like a professional, is to realize that the first person that likes your idea may not be they may not license it. That might not be the company that you end up doing business with. So it's congratulations when you get that. I'm not trying to take away any steam. It's fantastic, but it's an indication that more people will probably feel the same way.
And I think Ryan said it earlier, he said something to this effect, but these marketing managers of these companies, they got like 3 different projects going on, maybe 2 bosses, they're inundated with email. If you're just thinking about things from your perspective, you're thinking wrong. You got to think about how busy they are. So you have to be incredibly respectful with their time. Long rambling emails, marketing presentations that don't make sense. You're on their don't look at list again if you do that. So, but at the same time, they're people just like us. We have this program called Bridging the Gap, where with our other company, with InventRight, we bring on these CEOs and marketing managers from companies, and they talk to our students and they share with our students what they are going through. A bunch of them saying, we're really stressed about the shipping costs right now. This is what I don't like to see from inventors. These are things I'm dealing with. And the feedback I'm getting from our students is, wow, this person's just like a lot like me. You know, they're dealing with their issues as well. So think about them, not just yourself. And the biggest thing you can do for them is be respectful of their time. And a lot of inventors make us look bad by not being respectful of these marketing managers' time. So always, always be respectful of their time. And if you're not clear on something, ask for clarity. Some inventors make too many assumptions. Oh, they must mean this because they said that. Well, if you don't know what they meant, ask them. They might tell you, they may not. But so be respectful of time. That's the lesson there.
Well,
Don't take things personally.
Yeah, no, don't.
That's the game that you're getting in, is that of there are going to be people that don't respond as quickly as you would like them to. That's not a personal assault. I'm sorry, Courtney.
it's guaranteed to happen, right, Ben, Ryan? I mean, it's guaranteed. Most people will not respond in the time you want them to. So, but if you keep enough irons in the fire and you're reaching out to more and you're keeping yourself busy with other stuff, that will calm your anxiety about the waiting game. Licensing is a waiting game, but you don't have to sit and wait and bite your nails. You can keep reaching out to more companies, work on another project, do whatever you can to keep yourself busy, and realize you need to give them some time to respond.
That's anybody that hasn't got to that point in their projects yet, hasn't got to that point in the game, needs to remember what Andrew said. Whenever you get that first person that says, hey, it's a great idea, because it's so easy to fall into that. And then a couple months later, they fall off or they ghost you, and then everything falls apart and it feels terrible. The best thing that you can do is in that moment when that happens to you guys, because it will happen to you. If you reach out, if you have a decent product idea, you're going to have people that give you good feedback. In that moment, know, hey, this is something that's worth my time to continue pushing out there to other people. Don't think my job's over.
Right.
There's a comment here that I'd really love to read out loud here. Tamira was saying, and I'll have to say that this has happened to me so many times, and this is really where we have to be patient, but also very persistent. She said, I actually had approached a company today, and they initially said no. But after me following up with their denial, if it was just bad timing, they changed their tune. They actually never dealt with outside submissions, and they were interested in reviewing my sell sheet. So there's lots of things like that happen. And so just because you get a no, there's lots of reasons it could be a no. Maybe they're the wrong person and they're not sure, and they say, no, I don't know, we don't do that. And then so you take it, all right, I'm done. I'm done with that company.
But get this is going to blow some of your minds, and some of you are like, oh, of course, Andrew, and others are like, I never thought about it that way. You might get a no. It's not from a company, it's from a person at the company. So let's say it's a marketing manager. You might get a no from a marketing manager. They may love your product. I'm going to pause for an effect there. I'm not really pausing, but I'm going to pause it because, and you know why? They're saying they might, yeah. I say pause and then I don't be silent because I can't be silent for very long, but they might like your product. There's the pause. There you go. And what the reason why they're saying not at this time, not a right match or something like that, they don't have the time for it. They got too many projects. They got too many things going on, and you will never know. And you got to be okay with that, you know? And so don't assume they hated it, or maybe they just thought it wasn't a right match for their particular company. Maybe they actually liked it. And if you send it again, like 8 months later, they've forgotten about it. That same person who might not be busy the next time might actually license it. Most inventors will never do that. I've been talking about that a lot. Resending to a company that said no. Now, if they say no because of these reasons and you can't solve those, don't send it to them again. But if you send it to them 8 or 10 months later, you're like, I really believe in this product. I'm going to send to some of these companies that said no. Maybe I'll catch that marketing manager in a different mindset. They're having a better day, as Ryan was saying. It's okay to do that. Don't be spamming them. I'm talking about quite a ways off where they've kind of forgotten about it. You might bite you in the butt a little bit. Somebody say, I saw this 8 months ago, but they probably won't even remember it. You know, so Courtney, what were you saying? Oh,
no, that was perfect.
Can
right there.
Can I say something really quick, because I haven't had enough opportunity to speak yet tonight, guys? I would, as we're wrapping this up and we're all getting ready to loosen our belts up for the oncoming day, that's a great topic for us to close on, Andrew. And I'd love to hear what Ryan has to say about this, because I know Ryan's a tough guy, so he's going to have some good advice for all of us. Learning how to take a no is a huge aspect of being a professional and pitching your ideas to people. Learning how to deal with feedback is a huge aspect of this. I was on a call with, actually it was a meeting yesterday with InventRight coach Paul Swarton, and he was telling a story about getting negative feedback from someone and then during the exact same call, because he didn't argue with them, they ended up signing a paperwork, a contract for something in the exact same conversation as they were telling him that something wasn't going to work out. He, just by being a professional, was able to turn that around because they were so shocked. They're like, aren't you supposed to be arguing with me? Aren't you supposed to be telling me how to do my job right now? And so learning how to take a no, or learning how to take feedback, is critical. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm not sure I have anything too enlightening to say there, but I will say, I've always kind of likened it to dating. So a lot of times when these companies ghost you, or let's go with ghosting you, put it back in your early days of dating. You thought your date went well. You never heard from the girl or guy again. You know why? Because it was easier to ignore you than to say no. I swear, I really believe that to be true. I forget where my second thought was going with that. I recently had something, and Stephen had talked about this on a video, where a company had turned me down, and it was very, very clear based on the company's response that they didn't watch my video. So I found somebody else, and that person was eating it up, and they did a DRTV test, and it went from being absolutely shut down to this other person absolutely loving it. So just because you get one no doesn't mean you're dead in the water. But I didn't argue with that person. When somebody tells me no, getting back to this kind of dating thing, it's a no, because I'm not going to go back. Please go on another date with me. It'll be different. It's very hard, very, very hard to change their mind. So I just personally, I move on. Now, there probably are instances like what Paul told you where you could change your mind. But typically, once that girl tells you you're not the one for her, she's made up her mind no matter how much begging you do. So I just move on. But you always thank them for their time, and you keep their door open. Because I've gone back many times to the same company, and I'll just go on my Gmail account. I'll type in the company name, because I'm not going to remember who I spoke to. And I'll say, oh, I pitched this guy back in 2012 or 2018. I'll say, hey, John, I sent you some items back in 2018. You were kind enough to review. I've got something new. Would you mind taking a look? So I've kept that door open, and that seems to work most often than not.
Yeah, well, if you're using the dating analogies, you could say being in the friend zone is okay. So if you show them one product and they don't like that product, you've made the relationship. You have their phone number, you have their email. To send them another product is perfectly okay. They might like that other product better, which isn't really comparable with dating because you're dating the person, but they're not dating you, they're dating the product. So if they don't like this product, they might like another product. Just like they don't like one girl, they might like a different girl. So it's like, okay, now this is getting really weird. Now you're presenting a different girl, but now this is getting weird. But you guys get the idea. But it's like it's a different, okay, now I was you guys get the idea. I'm trying to be silly just so you guys are paying attention.
Hey, so what's important in that moment is, just because they didn't like your product, just because it wasn't a good fit for them, that's one thing. But if you can build a relationship with them at that point, that's your opportunity to build a relationship with them. This one idea didn't work. Okay. It's one thing for them to not like that, but to make it to where they don't like you as well in that moment it's not a good look. That's the last time they're ever going to look at anything from you. So learn to take that constructive criticism, learn to take a no, learn to not be offended in that moment, because it's a fantastic opportunity to show yourself as a professional. And people they're kind of taken back by people that can take that criticism, or they can take that feedback.
They didn't say no to you, they said no to your product. So you use the first one as an opportunity to make the relationship. And because you had decent marketing materials, because you didn't act weird, they're like, if you ask them, hey, can I send you more products? They're probably going to say yes. Or you don't even have to ask. You can just send something in the future because they did take a look at it, review it, and get back to you. So never see it as a rejection. See it as a success in that you made a relationship. It's a superficial relationship, but with the company, and you got all their contact info, and they're going to see another product. So, and sometimes people are so focused on their current product, they're not even thinking about another product. But you will have other products, and you have built that relationship. So that's a better way to go, well, I didn't get rejected. I made a relationship. I made a friend. you know?
Well said.
Andrew,
Yeah,
can I
and
ask you your thoughts on something?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a recent student that I was working with where he got enamored with lawn games, and I'm sure he may be listening today, and you might know who he is.
Yeah.
And he came up with the idea of, well, what if I send them a portfolio of lawn games and let them pick what they like? And I go, we don't really teach that, but that seems to make a lot of sense. Let's try it. And he sent them off 3 sell sheets. All 3 looked fantastic. I know you saw them. And I think the company ended up possibly licensing 1, but really interested in 2. So it's kind of really interesting. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he asked permission. So he asked if it was okay, and then he did it. They said, sure, yeah, we'll see a couple at a time. So I think that's one of those things you want to ask permission. I wouldn't send 3 products to a company ever unless you've already sent them 1 and they said no to it, or you just ask permission, can I send you 3? I would always send just 1 to kind of like, okay, this guy's not, sending me stuff that's totally off in left field, totally not right for us, and then ask permission to send more. So I think it's fine if you ask permission. I would never send 3 products without asking permission, though.
Okay, yeah, and I agree. And what was neat about this was each sell sheet looked looked the same. So it was from the same catalog, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was just a really neat way of approaching it, and it worked out quite well. And the first time I had seen that, so food for thought.
Yeah, but that's case in point in building a relationship, and then asking what's okay, being respectful. That's what you and Ben have been talking about quite a bit, and respecting these folks' time.
It depends on the company too, Andrew. I've heard you interview people for bridging the gap stuff with Invent, right? And they say, hey, if you've got a pitch deck, send it over.
Yeah.
So it depends on the company. If you don't know,
Thank you.
I would lead with your best idea that you think that's the best fit for that company, and then if that doesn't work, then you can send them more, or ask them if they're open to multiple sent at once. But finding how to best deal with each company, what their comfort zone is, what they want.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of bridging the gap.
Oh,
we get all that information,
and
but there's some companies that prefer it that way.
It could be so different. One company is like, oh, hell no, don't do that. I don't have time for that. And another company is like, oh no, you can send them to me. But like I had one person said, but I want it in like one document, or I still want it to be clean and clear. But that's a big point that I think we can leave tonight with, is that every company is different. And you know what? They're not companies, they're people. So you're not licensed. Yes, you end up licensing it to a company, but you're working with a person. So you find out what that person prefers. It's not the company. When you make it this ominous, the company thing, especially when they're big, it's very intimidating. Think about it as the individual, the person, that particular market manager. They're a person just like you and me. And I think that some people, they just feel like it's just too big, and that makes it smaller, makes it more personable,
All right, everyone, please go ahead and type in your thank yous into the chat box. And let's go ahead and give both Ben and Ryan a round of applause as usual. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. That was a little quick there. Here we go. 1, 2,
Hey, thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving. Oh boy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. And with that said, let me unmute you guys here. Of course, our next event is coming up fast, so go ahead and save the date for already in 2 weeks, December 8th. When it comes to inventing, have you ever said things like, I don't have the skills, or I need an expensive prototype, I can't cold call, or even I can't quit my day job, or potentially, other barriers that you put up for yourself? So with that said, Andrew,
you want to do a group shot?
Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
Let me just show the graphic here. Andrew and I will be going head to head, combating these barriers on our next Inventors Online. Let me go ahead and bring up that image so you guys can take a look and see what's coming up in just 2 weeks here.
Andrew's ready for that selfie, man. He's got himself right. He's coming correct. He's ready for that picture.
All right. And then with that said, yeah, Andrew, let's go ahead and give a family photo here with everyone.
Everybody give like a thumbs up or a hand wave or something like that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now I got 2 more pages to do. Keep them up because you don't know what page you're on here. 1, 2, 3. And last page, 1, 2, 3. There we go. We're good. I've gotten pretty fast at that, huh, Courtney?
That's pretty
Used-
good.
Yeah, it used to take me forever. And everybody's like, my arm's getting tired.
Wonderful. And then also, while Andrew would like to give his final remarks, of course, as usual, we are sponsoring 5 of the inventor groups across the nation. I'll go ahead and bring up that image. And Andrew, if you want to give your thanks and also just briefly talk about what inventor groups are.
Yeah, so we founded IGA to support inventor group leaders. These presidents of inventors groups around the country really don't have much support. They work really hard to support independent inventors. And there was really a group. And IGA, we have monthly meetings where I was on one last night with a bunch of inventor group leaders to support them. And of course, we have these meetings for individual inventors too. So we have a lot more inventor groups than just these 5, but we feature a different 5 every time. So these are the 5 that we have right here. I see, oh God, I forget his name. Oh, Jeffrey Dobkin of American Society of Inventors. Haven't seen him for a while, but support your local inventors group. It's really good. When you can attend an inventors group in person, it's a little bit different than Zoom. It's nice. And you're like, damn, there's people just like me out here, and you can make friendships and things. So if you have one near you, I encourage you to attend.
All right. And with that said, Ben and Ryan, you guys have any final remarks before we go?
I have
Well-
one really big piece of advice, but I'm going to let Ryan go.
Okay. Well, first I want to say, Courtney, you do a great job. And I remember responding the first time I heard you do this on LinkedIn. You are natural on the camera, far better than I could hope to be. You have a real skill at this. So thank you for organizing this. I know that people really enjoy this, obviously, and this is the first time I've done it. So kudos to you. And last, I'll stand by it. If you could take one thing away from tonight, just as we said at the beginning, don't forget multiple people at each company you're going to reach out to. We've been talking for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I feel that we just scratched the surface. So if I can make it again, I have other commitments where it's kind of difficult for me to come in during these times. But I would love to do it again because we just scratched the surface. So thank you very much, everybody.
I want to thank Ryan for going down to his local Walmart, setting down a chair and a camera. And because he's in a Walmart right now, guys. No,
It's close to Black Friday. That's brave.
Yeah, nobody bugged me either. Great.
That's amazing. If
You
you
haven't
guys
made any sales, Ryan. We need to see those things flying off the shelves.
Right.
and I want to thank Ben. Thank you for doing such a great job as well, and thank you for rescuing the dog. So, I mean, the other dog was going to be put down. It's amazing that you decided to rescue that dog. I have 2 dogs. Ryan's got a dog. We're all dogs. Courtney has cats. She's okay too. It's all right. But I think it's pretty amazing. Oh, Margie's lifting up her dog. That's so cute. Oh my God.
So
Anyway,
my closing statement is, first off, man, getting to do this with Ryan is really neat for me, guys. I've got a lot of respect for Ryan. Him coming out and doing this period, it's just rare to get to see Ryan doing something. So this is a real treat, guys, because he is very, very busy. So him doing something like this is not every week. I want to say everyone's point to remember that you're dealing with people. It's another person on the other end of that message. Very important. It's very easy nowadays with Zoom meetings and everything being on social and whatever else to forget those soft skills. And you're going to need soft skills in the process of this. So don't forget that you're dealing with people. But my one thing that I want to tell everybody, somebody reminded me in the chat, my top advice for the week is don't talk about anything political at the Thanksgiving table. Okay, guys, can you do that? If you can do that, I'll be happy. Okay, I'll feel like we accomplished something.
And I'll continue on that. Don't do that on LinkedIn either. That's for Facebook, not for LinkedIn. LinkedIn's for business. It's not a place to post what you ate for dinner or have political arguments. You can do that elsewhere. And you will come across as very unprofessional if you do that on LinkedIn. So keep it positive as Ben and Ryan were sharing. Just always keep it positive. It'll help you with your inventions.
So good
Wonderful.
to see you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Ben and
Likewise.
Ryan. We really appreciate you guys coming here and speaking to our audience tonight, of course, and everyone. Per usual, we will be back here actually in 2 weeks for December 8th for our next Inventors Online. And of course, we hope to see you then. And if not, have a wonderful rest of your 2021 year. And we hope to see you in our next meeting so we can bring you more expert information in the areas you need help in. Thanks again, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
See you guys. Bye.
Guys.